That's my understanding.
Objection misstates the testimony.
Now, just a moment, please. The objection is sustained. The partial answer stricken. Absent further foundation as to a time frame.
You then reviewed the medical records together. Actually, we reviewed the medical records after that time. Did you, subsequent to that time, have a difference of opinion about Arnold Klein's medical records?
I'm sorry.
Did you, after reviewing the testimony of these security staff, did that have any influence on your opinion of the completeness of Arnold Klein's medical records?
Certainly, if there's testimony indicating daily visits, there are large periods of time in which there were not daily visits.
When you see periods of time in June or May, I'm going to show www again, where 3-day periods of time Michael Jackson's receiving 900 milligrams of Demerol or 500 milligrams of Demerol, and then you see, and there are blocks of time where there's no medical records, there's no dates on Klein's medical records. Does that seem consistent with your analysis that Michael Jackson was addicted to Demerol?
Well, those gaps of time are concerning. There's no record that he saw Dr. Klein that we have. And so what took place in those gaps of time is curious and cause for concern with respect to his well-being, for sure, with respect to the amount of Demerol he used, particularly in April prior to that 10-day period of time.
Would it be helpful in making that determination if Dr. Arnold Klein was consulted?
He may have a recollection of a visit that he didn't document. I think that's possible.
Would it be helpful to making that determination if we were to have the testimony of the nurses and the office staff at Arnold Klein's office?
I'm sorry.
Objection based on the court's prior ruling.
Sustained.
Essentially, you have to make your determination based only on Arnold Klein's medical records, though. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Now, one of the things we talked about was detox, and then after detox, rehab. Is that right? What would be an appropriate period of rehab for an individual who is suffering from opioid addiction?
Again, a lot of individual variability. It really depends upon how long-term the use has been and what kind of commitment they're willing to make to get well.
Well,
and I might add also how sick they are in other respects.
Is rehab really necessary, though, Doctor?
I believe so.
Why?
If all that one does is provide opioid cessation treatment or so-called detox from opiates or alcohol or benzodiazepines, then what we have is an untreated addict who's sober, but they're not well.
What if the individual won't go to rehab?
It's most of the time, not all of the time. Sometimes it's court mandated, but if it's voluntary, we don't really have much choice. Hands are tied.
All right. One of the things that Mr. Waldman was talking about was the lockup, was the requirement that controlled substances be locked up.
Yes.
Remember that conversation?
Yes.
Do you know that controlled substances have a high potential for addiction and abuse? Is that right?
Yes.
And that's exactly why they are classified as controlled substances by the DEA. Right?
Yes.
And they need to be locked up. Is that right?
That's the law.
And that law is limited to controlled substances.
As far as I know.
All right. And you mentioned that the reason for that is as a result of the high potential for addiction and abuse.
and theft and diversion
Because that's
to
what,
addiction and abuse.
that's what addicts do. They steal.
Yes.
All right.
Or other persons do to make money.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chernoff, thank you. This will be recrossed by the people.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
I see that chart. Let me show you Dr. Waldman, VVV, because I was confused by these charts, and I understand, I believe you said your secretary made them?
I provided her all the data. She simply utilized the computer
Okay, so you provided the data that's reflected there.
based upon my chart review and my notes on the chart, sir.
Okay. So I want to go through this, and let me, I'll give you a copy. Oh, may I have the defense exhibit, actually, medical records?
This is triple Victor.
Thank you. I think the medical records are triple U.
Well, it depends what, you're talking about the chart?
The chart's triple Victor on the screen, Your Honor. I just,
The medical rec, okay.
Yes.
Triple uniform.
and let me bring these to you, Dr. Waldman. And so you provided the data. Let's look at April 2nd of this chart. If you could, just take a moment to yourself and look through those records. Again, specifically for April 2nd, please. And you reflected on there a dose of 200 milligrams of Demerol for April 2nd. Could you point where
Well,
that is?
I think Dr. Waldman is still
I'm good.
locating the
I'm
page.
good.
All right.
Dr. Waldman, isn't it true that there was no dose whatsoever of Demerol on April 2nd, correct?
You know, you are correct.
Okay. So I'm going to...
But I need to intercede one point. What my statement was that I was provided a written review by defense of the charts, and I utilized that plus my notes. So, but from
Actually, what you said was you provided the data
to my
secretary.
Yeah, I culled the data from all of the above and provided it to my secretary. So this is probably my error.
Okay. I don't want to write on the defense copy. I have the same chart for April. Your Honor, may this be marked Peoples 228?
Yes.
So April 2nd, there was no Demerol and no midazolam, correct?
That's according to this chart. That is correct, sir.
So I'm crossing that off of the chart you provided. I want to go now to April 6th of 2009, again showing data that you provided, or culled, I think your word was. Explain this chart to me, because...
Can you bring me a copy, please?
Yes, I'll give you the defense.
Thank you.
Triple E.
Thank you.
So looking at the axis here to the left, this line for April 6th represents 200 milligrams of Demerol, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then so if this chart would then represent 100 milligrams of midazolam on
No,
April
sir.
6th?
No, sir. No, sir. That's 1 milligram. That's the Demerol, add 2 zeros. The midazolam in the brown is exact. This is my own personal chart that I was using.
you see the axis here where it goes 0, 1?
Yes, yes,
Two,
yes.
these are in hundreds, right? I mean, the 2
It
represents
depends,
2.
it depends on which drug you're talking about, sir.
How does
Those are-
that-
Those are hundreds for the Demerol, milligrams for the midazolam. If you look at the bottom, it says midazolam dose, Demerol dose.
Right.
I created this.
Right.
Just for ease of fast review.
Right. So reading this chart, this chart, if you read this chart.
So for April 6th.
I'm asking you a question.
Sure.
Not all question. Which
Reading
now
the-
we will hear.
Reading this chart, it would reflect 100 milligrams of midazolam, correct?
No.
So where on the chart does it explain that this is a 1, but this is a 200? Where is that explained on your chart?
Again, this is for my own personal use, and that's how I chose to create it, and I understand exactly what it says.
I'm sure you do. My question was where on the chart?
There is no key because I was the only intended reader. There is no key that says,
So what does this 0.5 mean? Does that mean?
You can allow Dr. Waldman to finish his answer. There is no key that
I'm
says...
done, sir. I'm done, sir.
All right, thank you.
What does the 0.5 represent? Or let me just ask, what does this 1 represent?
1 would represent either 100 milligrams of Demerol or 1 milligram of midazolam. If you look, may I explain? Sir, may I?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. If you look at the record,
No, I'm talking about your chart.
where did the chart come from?
You.
Thank you. And where did I get it?
I have no idea.
I told you before.
Okay, excuse me. This is a fascinating colloquy, but we do have questions and answers, so let's have them, please. Thank you.
So each of these midazolam doses should actually be, the bar should to be consistent with this axis here. Each of the midazolam doses should actually be way down here at the bottom, correct?
Sir, I'm not going to answer that. Now you're making a chart. The chart I made is just right there. I'm not changing it.
What does this,
I agree
what
with
does
you.
this 2 represent? What does
That
this 2?
represents 2 milligrams of midazolam.
This
Or
Oh,
200 milligrams of Demerol.
okay, so the 2
I think
is,
it's a very clear chart.
the 2 is 200 milligram Demerol or 2 milligram midazolam.
Depends
Okay,
on which.
first
Is that
objection
correct?
is now he's written on what is a demonstrative aid. Second objection is the witness already testified. This
Just a
wasn't.
moment. We
this-
don't have to hear argument, as we've indicated. The objection is sustained. Continue, Mr. Waldman.
So the 2 represents 200 milligram of Demerol or 2 milligrams midazolam, depending on which drug.
What I'm going to tell you is that if you look at the records provided from Dr. Klein's office, it's interesting. It's always in round numbers. 100 of Demerol, a milligram of midazolam. 200 of Demerol, a milligram of midazolam. 200 or 300 of Demerol, 2 milligrams of midazolam. It lent itself to very easy representation in the most simple way. I am not a mathematician. I am not a statistician. I have no expertise. I created a bar chart because I thought it was helpful to spread it out and look at the spectrum of dosing. Period.
So if you just answer the question, so the 2 represents 200 milligrams of Demerol
Objection,
or
counsel's
2
being
milligrams of
argumentative.
midazolam. Is that accurate?
The objection is sustained to the form of the question, and it's been asked and answered.
And this would apply across the chart. The way you've used the chart applies across the chart for the month of April, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you flip to April 20th in the medical records, please?
There is no April 20th.
Okay, so on People's 228, this is incorrect where you have you have a 300 milligram dose of Demerol. That's not reflected in the medical records, correct?
That is, again, incorrect, but again,